Hello, my dear students. So, today I bring before you yet another history topic that is Renaissance. Renaissance का actually जो है, as I told you, it's a vast topic and इसको हम जो है videos में three parts में cover करते हैं. पहला part जो है that will be meaning, the features, why it happened in Italy and the causes, right? Part two, as I told you before also, we'll be discussing about the spread or the development of Renaissance, and third is impact. Now, while I was about to make the second video for you, which is on the development, मुझे ऐसे लगा कि क्यों ना मैं Renaissance आपके साथ जो है in 15-minute challenge में let's revise Renaissance together, and the challenge is to do it in 15 minutes. So let's begin. देखो अभी जो है इस वीडियो में विल स्पेसिफिकली बी टॉकिंग अबाउट रिनेसां है क्या था, इसके फीचर्स क्या है, क्यों रिनेसां सबसे पहले इटली में आया और रिनेसां के कॉजेस क्या थे. नाउ अगर मैं बड़े सिंपल टर्म में आपसे कहूँ, सो द वर्ड रिनेसां मीन्स रीबर्थ. इन अ वेरी नैरो सेंस रिनेसां का मतलब है द रिवाइवल ऑफ द इंटरेस्ट इन द क्लासिकल सिविलाइजेशंस ऑफ ग्रीक एंड रोमन. राइट कुछ इस तरीके से भी हम बात कर सकते हैं कि रिनेसांस जो है दैट सर्व्ड एज अ ब्रिज बिटवीन द मिडीवियल एंड द मॉडर्न वेस्टर्न यूरोप. इससे भी अगर मैं सिंपलर वे में आपसे कहूँ तो बेसिकली रिनेसांस जो है, चाहे हम उसका इम्पैक्ट जो है आर्ट में देखें, लिटरेचर में देखें, आर्किटेक्चर में देखें, सो रिनेसांस हेल्प्ड मैन टू फ्री हिमसेल्फ फ्रॉम द शैकल्स ऑफ द रिलीजन. क्योंकि मिडीवियल एजेस में कहीं ना कहीं जो है रिलीजन वॉज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. सो रिनेसांस और द रीबर्थ और ऑल्सो विच ऑल्सो मेंट टू हैव अ रिवाइवल ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इन द classical civilizations of Greek and Roman, and also to free individuals from the shackles of the religion. राइट सो पहली बार इसको इस्तेमाल करने, ये वर्ड को यूज़ करने वाले वॉज अ फ्रेंच हिस्टोरियन बाय द नेम ऑफ जूल्स मिशेलेट इन 1959. और बाद में जैकॉब नाम के हिस्टोरियन जो है, ही पब्लिश्ड हिज ग्रेट बुक द सिविलाइजेशन ऑफ रिनेसांस इन इटली. सो रिनेसांस वाज मार्क्ड बाय सीरीज ऑफ न्यू डेवलपमेंट्स इन फील्ड ऑफ आर्ट, लिटरेचर, रिलीजन, philosophy, science and the politics. Right now, there were certain ideas which were given prominence. Bache, number one is the faith in the temporal world, which is the today's world. Development of humanism, the concept that human or the individuals are even important, right? Then is importance of rationality, objectivity over orthodoxy, appreciation of the nature's beauty. राइट सो नंबर वन, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द फीचर्स नाउ. देखो सबसे पहले फीचर जो है बच्चे, दैट इज रीडिस्कवरी ऑफ ग्रीको रोमन सिविलाइजेशन. नाउ ये जो सिविलाइजेशंस है बच्चे, दे हैड बीन निग्लेक्टेड ड्यूरिंग द मिडल एजेस, और रिनेसांस जस्ट मेंट द रीडिस्कवरी ऑफ द आइडियोलॉजी, फिलोसफी, आर्ट, लिटरेचर, आर्किटेक्चर ऑफ द ग्रीको रोमन civilization. Number two is objectivity. Objectivity means it emphasizes the reasoning, questioning attitude, experimentation, free inquiry, and ये बिल्कुल contrast था with the medieval ages, जिसमें कहा था medieval ages में concern over faith, authority and tradition. लेकिन अब it emphasizes reason, questioning attitude, experimentation and the free inquiry. Number three, humanism. It glorified the individual and approved worldly pleasures. Lastly, it actually was a revolt against the authority of the Pope, because it focused on the secular society rather than the medieval preoccupation with the church and the religious affairs. Now, Renaissance जो है बच्चे, obviously it spread in Italy first, and from Italy to France, German, Holland, England, and other European states. All right, so this is how the map of Europe looked during the time of your Renaissance, right? Now, causes. Now, to be very honest, now before we go on to do the causes, I had also told you that why it happened in Italy. See, number one, Number one, why it happened in Italy first was because Italy had been the center of the Roman Empire. नंबर टू हम लोग कॉजेज में भी इसको डिस्कस करेंगे कि कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल दैट वाज ऑक्यूपाइड बाय द टर्क्स एंड यहाँ जब टर्क्स ने ऑक्यूपाई किया कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल जो है वो ईस्टर्न रोमन एम्पायर की कैपिटल भी रही थी. तो जब यहाँ पर मुस्लिम टर्क्स ने इसको ऑक्यूपाई किया यहाँ से जितने भी आपके इम्पोर्टेंट ग्रीक स्कॉलर्स थे दे एक्चुअली फर्स्ट केम टू इटली. That was the first place they came and settled. तो यहाँ आके बड़े सारे जो है important books लिखी गई and most of them started teaching in the universities here. So as such ये जो है that led to the spread of the ideas of Renaissance in Italy first, right? Then number two, I already told you कि इटली की सिटी जो है that was a prominent center of Roman Christian religion and यहाँ पर ख़ास तौर पे पोप निकोलस V जो है he gave lot of importance to literature. He also established the largest library of world. So maybe in the spread of Renaissance the Pope Nicholas V played a very important role, right? यहाँ बचे कुछ ऐसी families भी थी. मेडिसी family जो है इन्होंने बड़े सारे राइटर्स और आर्टिस्ट दे पैटर्नाइज्ड देम. देन इटली ऑल्सो हैड दीज द राइटर्स और दीज जिसे हम कहते हैं कि ये सारे जो आपके साहित्यकार है जैसे दांते है, then is Boccaccio, Petrarch. Now they were the important writers of Italy and you can call them as the spearheads or the ones who brought about Renaissance, right? And because they were first in Italy, so that is how Renaissance started in Italy first and then spread to the rest of the Europe. Of course बच्चे Italy जो है because of its prosperous trade, the merchants or the traders became very rich and even there were these few families who because of their money could patronize these artists and that also became one of the reasons why Renaissance had its first appearance in Italy. In fact, in the 16th century, Italy became the school of Europe and its cultural activities can be compared to those of the city of Athens when that city was at the height of its glory, right? So let's now quickly come to the causes. वैसे तो ये मैं थोड़ा स्पीड से कर रही हूँ बिकॉज दिस इज़ लाइक अ मोर रिविजन वन. फॉर माई डिटेल्ड वीडियो यू कैन रेफर टू my channel and you will come across the detailed video about 40 minutes on Renaissance. अब आ जाता है बच्चे आपका causes. सबसे important cause was the decline of feudalism. देखो feudalism जो है it started declining at the end of the 13th century and by 1500 AD जो है feudalism had virtually disappeared from the Western European country. And now आपका जो है middle class comprising of the traders, the businessmen, they were playing more dominant role. And because the trade and commerce increased, so ये लोग जो हैं अब ये किंग को नेसेसरी मनी देते थे फॉर द मेंटेनेंस ऑफ आर्मीज. सो किंग अब जो है इन फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट नहीं था, राइट? सो कहीं ना कहीं बच्चे डिक्लाइन ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म ने भी रिनेसां की इस्टेब्लिशमेंट में हेल्प किया, राइट? अब ये फ्यूडल लॉर्ड जो है दे कुड नॉट इंक्रीज देयर रेंट, सो दे हैड टू बोरो मनी and because they could not return the money they had to sell their lands. On the other hand, because of the development of trade and commerce there was increase in prices which greatly benefited the craftsmen, merchant and the cultivators. Number two is the Crusades. Now, impact of the Crusades. अब ये Crusades है क्या? Very, very simple. Now, these Crusades, or what we call as the Holy Wars, that was fought between the Christians and the Muslims. They were fought between 11th and 14th centuries. क्यों लड़ रहे थे? Because they wanted to recover the Holy Land, Jerusalem, from these Muslims, the Seljuk Turks. Now, ultimately, बच्चे, the Muslims were victorious, but in Crusades या Holy Wars के वजह से Western scholars जो है they came in contact with the East, which was much more civilized and polished than the Christians. देखो ये जो आपके Eastern civilizations हैं they very much benefited because these Arabs had contact with the Greek and the Indian civilizations. बहुत सारे वेस्टर्न स्कॉलर्स जो हैं दे विजिटेड द यूनिवर्सिटीज़ ऑफ कायरो, कूफा, कार्डोना, एंड यहाँ से दे लर्नड मेनी न्यू आइडियाज़ विच सब्सिक्वेंटली स्प्रेड टू यूरोप. So, what are the four main things? One, the Western scholars came in contact with the East, which was more civilized and polished. और ये Eastern countries में जो है Arabs had enriched their civilization because of their contact with Greek and Indian. और यहाँ से जो scholars इनके यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में गए वो जो भी आइडियाज़ लेकर जो है दैट स्प्रेड टू यूरोप. देखो एरिस्टोटल, साइंटिफिक बुक्स, अरबिक न्यूमरल्स, अलजेब्रा, all that reached Western Europe through these holy wars, right? Very important. Decline in the influence of church. देखो इस टाइम पे जो चर्च की डोमिनेशन थी 13 सेंचुरीज में, 14 सेंचुरी में, अब आप देखोगे कि उनकी जो डोमिनेंस है दैट बिगैन टू डिक्लाइन. सी वन ऑफ द रीजन व्हाई दैट वाज हैपनिंग वाज बिकॉज in 1296, there were actually, this is one example, but there were number of strong monarchs जो church की power को they were about to challenge, right? जैसे कि one example is in 1296, King Philip IV of France, he got the Pope arrested and made him a prisoner. मतलब पोप का और चर्च का जो एक उसकी फीलिंग थी ड्यूरिंग द मिडीवियल पीरियड दैट द स्टेटस और द काइंड ऑफ इम्पैक्ट दे had in Europe. Now the strong monarchs were about to challenge that one. An example मैंने आपको बोल दिया, that is King Philip IV of France, right? And moreover बच्चे एक और बात भी है कि people prefer to give attention to the present life rather than life after the death. There is wealth and prosperity. This is very simple बच्चे. मैंने आपको बोला है कि होली वॉर्स जो है सिर्फ जेरूसलम लेने के लिए तो चलो हुई थी, लेकिन क्रूसेड्स ने एक और अच्छी चीज़ की. They gave rise to the prosperous trade and commerce. Trade between the eastern and the western countries increased. Obviously, this resulted in the wealth and prosperity of the people of Italy. And यहीं पर जो है बच्चे इटली में ही कुछ families जो हैं they started patronizing the artists and scholars, right? So this is one aspect. Then the most important thing which brought about Renaissance, invention of the printing press and paper. See, first it was done by Gutenberg in 1454, later by Caxton in England, and printing machines were established in Italy, France, Belgium and other European countries. आप देखो बच्चे printing press की invention and availability of paper in abundance that contributed to the popularity of books and gave rise to Renaissance. Now, without printing press, the knowledge could not have spread far and wide, right? Then comes the fall of Constantinople, जो मैंने आपको पहले भी इटली में क्यों हुआ, I talked about that. देखो कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल जो है दैट वाज वन ओवर बाय द टर्क्स इन 1453. नाउ दिस इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्योंकि बच्चे दिस एरिया कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल दैट वाज द सेंटर ऑफ लर्निंग. हालांकि ये आपके क्रिश्चियंस के अंडर था, लेकिन बहुत सारे ग्रीक स्कॉलर्स जो हैं दे वर लिविंग हियर. सो जब 1453 में Muhammad II of the Ottoman Empire, he occupied Constantinople. That was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. तो बहुत सारे Greek intellectuals जो हैं they left Constantinople and they entered into different cities of Italy like Venetia, Milan, Naples, Sicily and Rome. यहाँ जाके they taught mathematics, history, geography, philosophy, astronomy, which to the people of Italy, and this gave birth to Renaissance. This is also one of the reason why Renaissance first took place in Italy, because जब बच्चे यहाँ पर कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल पे अटैक हुआ टर्क्स का, सो ये जितने भी आपके स्कॉलर्स हैं दे एक्चुअली मूव टूवर्ड्स इटली, राइट? और वहाँ जाके जब इन्होंने ये सारे सब्जेक्ट्स को टीच करना शुरू किया, ऑब्वियसली दैट गेव बर्थ टू Renaissance. like, see, lot many Greek and Roman scholars, they also started working in the libraries of Constantinople. They started teaching the Greek and Latin in various countries. And one such prominent scholar, which I'll be talking today, is the Erasmus. Now Erasmus, he thought that ये जो बाइबल पढ़ाई जा रही है या बाइबल बताई जा रही है, he thought that Jesus' key simple teachings, though, they have been distorted. So what he did was he published a fresh edition of New Testament in Greek to clarify the basic teachings of Christianity. And Erasmus was absolutely against prosecution and advocated the principles of open-mindedness and goodwill towards all men. Now, this is what you can see the scenario, how the Turks, especially Muhammad, the two of the Ottoman Empire, he was attacking Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, right? Role of the progressive rulers. Dekho, no doubt, bache, of course, the rulers like Francis I of France, Henry VIII of England, Charles V of Spain, Christian II of Denmark, all these rulers, inki most important क्या थे, they gave patronage to scholars, men of learning, and इन्हीं की बदौलत है that led to the revival of the Greco-Roman classics, right? In fact, ये लोगों जो है, they would invite many people having new ideas to their courts, and even popes like your Nicholas V, we talked earlier also, and Leo X, they also contributed to Renaissance by encouraging the study of the ancient Greek and Roman classical and patronizing classical art, sculpture, music, etc. राइट सी ये किंग्स एंड पोप्स के अलावा भी मैंने आपको बताया था कि इटली में एक फैमिली जो है दैट वाज योर मेडिसी फैमिली ऑफ फ्लोरेंस दे हैड सेट अप द अकेडमी इन फ्लोरेंस विच वाज डिवोटेड टू द स्टडी एंड रिसर्च ऑफ प्लेटोनिक फिलोसफी इनफैक्ट ये मेडिसी फैमिली है जिन्होंने बड़े बड़े पेंटर्स लाइक माइकल एंजलियो लियोनार्डो दा विंसी बार्टोल्डो इन सबको पैट्रनाइज किया एंड सेट द टोन फॉर द इस्टेब्लिशमेंट और for the revival of the interest in the Greek and Roman civilizations. Geographical voyages, देखो geographical voyages were extremely important because जब Marinus Compass हुआ तो इसने क्या किया, उसने ये किया कि जो एक अर्थ के बारे में पोप ने या चर्च ने कुछ नोशंस बनाई थी कि अर्थ की शेप ये है, साइज ये है, so that Marinus Compass actually made it possible to know the exact direction where they were sailing, and they also traveled, one of the travelers, we call him as the Maganelian. Now उन्होंने जो है एक पॉइंट से शुरू किया and after some time जो है exactly 365 days के बाद he reached at the same point. So एक जो notion थी that earth is flat, that was actually contradicted, and he proved that earth is oval in size, right? Then there was discovery of telescope, very very important, and that actually made a lot of impact in the study of astronomy. In fact, when the Pope said that earth is in the center and all the planets and sun is on revolves around the earth, तो इस theory को हालांकि कोपर्निकस ने पहले प्रूव किया था, जॉन केपलर ने इसको मैथमेटिकली प्रूव करने की कोशिश की, लेकिन गलीलियो ने अपनी टेलीस्कोप के साथ इसको एब्सोल्युटली प्रूव कर दिया कि अर्थ सेंटर में है और बाकी एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी सन सेंटर में है और अर्थ बाकी प्लैनेट्स की तरह इसके इर्द गिर्द घूमती है. Right? Now, this line is very, very important. Now, all this knowledge went against the teachings of church, and no wonder it led to weakening of the authority of the ecclesiastical or religious system that is your church, right? So this is one of the pictures when we talk about the Holy Crusades, that how these Europeans, they started reading the classical works that came by the way of the Muslim scholars, right? Now, rise of Mongolian Empire is one another factor. Now, Genghis Khan की death के बाद जो है Kublai Khan, he had established a vast and powerful empire, and Mongolian State Council जो है, they had the cardinals of both the Buddhist monks of India, the craftsmen of Paris, Italy and China. So this was a place where East and West came in close contact, and Europeans were greatly influenced by the exchange of views. So this also contributed to the rise of Renaissance. In fact, the famous traveler Marco Polo visited the court of Kublai Khan, and his travels stirred people for a very long time. Right, so if you can just see from here our causes in a very short glimpse: decline of feudalism, impact of the Crusades, decline in the influence of church, fall of Constantinople, wealth and prosperity, invention of printing press and paper, role of progressive rulers and nobles, geographical voyages, rise of Mongolian Empire. And here we finish our Renaissance. I don't know if I have taken a little more time, maybe 20 minutes, but yes, we have done it. Right now, the next video will be on the development or the spread of Renaissance. And of course, there will be a video on the impact of that. Happy learning and bye bye.